All right, I'm ready to call the meeting to order.
Uh-oh, now I can't read at all.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I want to welcome you to the first meeting of 2020. Today is January 30th, 2020, and I'm going to start by asking all of our members, to introduce themselves so that we know who's present this evening. Mr. Peter?
Matthew Peter, Deputy Chair, Legislative District 5.
Ray Joyce, District 13.
Dave Mayo, District 20, Latham.
Mark Grimm, District 29, that's Gittleton, the Carmen Road and Western Avenue.
Lynn Lakakis, District 8, Albany.
Paul Bergdorf, District 23, Latham, Loudonville, and the Village of Colony.
Joe O'Brien, Colony, District 25, which encompasses West Albany and Loudonville.
And my name's Wanda Willingham. I'm the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee, and I am District 3, and I represent the city of Albany. And so we're going to get moving. We are half hour late, but we have started with a lot of business. We started the year off with a lot of business for Albany County today. So we're going to start with number 1, and we'll be approving the previous meeting's minutes. I have a motion from my deputy chair, Mr. Peter, and I have a second from Mr. Mayo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We will now move on to number 2, and we have our new comptroller. Welcome.
Thank you.
Ms. Rizzo. And we're going to start with number 2, amending the 2020 Department of Audit and Control Budget Administrative Adjustments.
Thank you, Madam Chair, legislators, and the council. I'd like to request approval from legislation for budget changes, increases, and decreases. Do you want me to go through them more specifically, each one?
If you think it's going to help us approve what you want.
I'll do it then. There's a position of Director of Municipal Affairs. We're increasing the budget by $6,778. For the project manager, we're decreasing that position by $9,591. There's an accounting 2 part-time position. The original budget was $59,991, and we're decreasing that entirely. There's a senior account clerk position for $59,991 that we're increasing. The accounting clerk 1 part-time, the original budget was $27,325, and we're decreasing that by the same amount. The administrative aide part-time for $30,000, we're decreasing that by $30,000. The clerical aide for $33,293, we're increasing that to put it into the budget. And there's temporary help line that we're increasing from $10,000 to $26,845. There is a position that's the Certified Public Accountant CPA that was budgeted for $110,487. We're just changing the title to Chief Accountant for the same dollar amount. These requests are all budget neutral. We're just asking for approval for these changes in our budget. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions from the members? Okay, Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In this legislation, we have a way of saying budget neutral. That means the budget is the same as the year it was last year. But it's really different than being revenue neutral because we have so many vacant lines. So if a vacant line is vacant and the next year we're spending that money, that's not exactly revenue neutral. We're spending more money than we did the previous year. So my question for you is, are we spending any more money in these realignments
No.
with the idea of vacant lines? So you're not taking a vacant line and then making it a line item for an employee.
No.
So this is exactly the same money. So that is revenue neutral then?
It's revenue neutral.
Just a matter, from your standpoint, you're just, as the
Cleaning it up.
director, you're saying, what do I need to do, and this is your proposal?
Correct, because we have added title pay, that we're correcting the title to put the person in the correct title.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Controller Rizzo, what is the difference professionally between a CPA and a chief accountant? What's the rationale there?
The person that we hired has extensive experience, that he actually worked in a municipality. He is from Waterville, and he actually was the Director of Finance there. We were fortunate to find this individual. He's not a CPA. A certified public accountant, to me, has a lot to do with the private sector that usually work under a CPA needs to work under a certified public accountant. We needed somebody to work on our AUD report, to report to the state. It was a position that didn't have a succession, so we were left high and dry at the end of the year. So this person that we were fortunate enough that qualified for this job does not have his CPA, but he is we refer to him as a chief accountant because he's the highest level of accountant for this position. And we went through HR to find a title that actually works for this position.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, can I get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Mayor.
Second.
I got a second from Mr. Cactus. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous. All right, we'll go on to number 3. And number 3 is amending resolution 506 for 2015 with Hot Shoes Russ LLP regarding bond counsel services.
Hodges Russ has an agreement with Albany County, and we are basically asking for an extension for 1 year. We do have some cleanup regarding the documents that were previously approved, that were we're asking for the final 1-year contract extension, but the original resolution had a concern in it about the dates as well as the contract. So we were basically cleaning that up and requesting the final 1-year extension.
Do I have any questions from the members? If not, can I get a motion? Got a motion from Mr. Peter, and I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We're on to number 4, authorizing an agreement with M&T Bank for banking services.
M&T Bank has a contract for 3 years. We're asking for their first 1-year extension for the legislation to approve.
Let's make a motion, if there's no questions.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 5, authorizing an agreement with Saks BST LLP for independent auditing services.
This is for auditing services. This is their final extension. There is a resolution. We're just asking the legislation to approve their final 1-year extension according to the contract.
All right.
Motion to move.
I got a motion to move from Mr. O'Brien. I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Hey, good luck. Welcome to
Welcome to
Our world.
our
Love what I
world.
do. Thank you. Thanks.
Good luck.
Okay, we're going on to Sheriff Apple, 6, 7, and 8 for Sheriff Apple. Okay? Good evening, Sheriff. How are you today?
Good evening. How are you?
Congratulations on your new honor that you got just recently.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, are we ready, gentlemen? Okay, number 6, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the fiscal year 2018 hazmat grant and amending the Sheriff's Department budget.
Ma'am, this is a $150,000 grant for the 4-county hazmat team. Albany County is the fiduciary agent for it. It goes towards prep kits, literature for preparedness. We go to bazaars, we go to Sheridan Hollow's events down behind us. We're all over the county, and our partners in the other 3 counties do the same as well. It actually is mostly governed by OFPC with Fire Coordinator Jerry Paris. Prior to the last couple of years, we got 75. They doubled it for us, but it's money well spent.
Very good, very good.
Motion, if there's no
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7, authorizing an agreement with New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. regarding the 2019 Emergency Management Performance Grant and amending the Sheriff's Department budget.
Similar to the hazmat grant, this one took a $1,000 reduction from last year. It's $116,000 with a 50% match. We use our salaries inside the unit as the 50% match, so it's at no expense to the county. The monies that we bring in, again, goes towards emergency preparedness. You'll see at fairs, bazaars, different events throughout the county, making sure that everybody knows what we offer and make sure everybody's prepared in the event of some sort of catastrophe.
Okay, good. Got any motion?
Motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 8, authorizing an agreement with New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the 2019 statewide interoperability communications grant and amending the Sheriff's Department budget.
This award is for $1.2 million. This goes towards our countywide 911 system, which we provide for the entire county, and to augment some of the new equipment that we will have for the new 911 center that hopefully we'll be breaking ground for in the spring. Now, I will throw this out there just to let everybody know that I'll be coming back to you within the next few months with a proposal. As I'm sure you're aware, the 911 surcharge has been declining pretty steadily. And what I mean by that is that we used to have landline fees come in, and now, of course, we added in 2008 cell phone fees. Well, very few people have landline now, except for businesses and, of course, some of our older population that use it towards alarms or whatever that may be. Very limited income. Our proposal for the new surcharge would be to completely remove the fee for residential and increase by a minimum of double the cell phone surcharge, which would generate a couple $100,000 for the 911 system in the county. Problem being, the state of New York collects roughly $275 to $290 million, and only $70 million of that is pushed back to the counties. Half of that money goes to New York City, which leaves about $35 to maybe $40 million for the remaining 50-some counties to play Hunger Games for. It's a horrible system. It's not sustainable for any 911 system in any county, so we have to look for other ways.
Mr. O'Brien?
Hi, thank you, Chairwoman. This grant, is this in addition to the $1.3 million for the 911 system that we budgeted for last year?
Same grant.
Oh, it is the same
Yes.
grant? Okay.
Yeah, we've been steadily, right around the 1.2, 1.3, sometimes 1.1. We can usually count on $1 million. I say count on, but that could go away at any point. But yes, we've been applying it towards the new construction.
Okay.
Mr. Peter?
Hey, Sheriff, how you doing? Quick question. Is this grant going to go towards the larger consolidation when we talk about potentially other municipalities coming in and things of that nature?
Yes, this is, when we did the capital plan, we budgeted roughly $2 million in grant money coming in. Last year, having $1 million, I believe Legislator O'Brien said 1.3, somewhere around there. This one, obviously, 1.2. So we've got $2.5 million to apply towards it, yes. We're hoping to break ground no later than spring at this point. Everything seems to be lining up okay for us. And they said a minimum of 10 to 12 month construction.
And that includes dispatch services with the city of Albany?
Yes.
And that stuff?
Actually, at that point, that building will be able to take all dispatching for our entire county. We're not saying that it's mandated by any means, but we will have it and prepare for some shared services with the other towns. It's only a matter of time.
Well, thank you for taking on the support initiative. I know that's huge, potentially huge for savings.
Thank you.
Great.
Are there any other questions?
Madam Chair, yeah. So, Chair, are you saying you could handle 911 for the entire county? You would have that capacity?
Yes.
Just a matter of political decisions then with the various municipalities?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Motion to move.
Second?
Yes, I have a motion from Mr. O'Brien. I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you. Have a nice
Chair
night.
Apple.
You too.
Okay, we're going to go to number 11, and that's for Mr. Giordano. Is everybody captured number 11? Okay. So we're on number 11. Good evening, Mr. Giordano.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing me to move up a spot.
No problem. We'll be amending the 2020 Department of Mental Health budget, opioid grant fund.
Yes, ma'am. We were here in October of last year, as Resolution 430. We were approved to receive this grant, and we were thinking that we would be able to spend some of it in the 2019 year. It turns out that we're needing to transfer it into the 2020 year with the rest of the grant. For a number of reasons, we weren't able to expend that money. So we'd like to transfer $86,000 or so. 89, I'm sorry. 89,000.
Loose change.
Close
Do I
enough
have
for
any
government
questions
work.
from any members? If not, okay, I got a motion from Mr. Joyce, I got a second from Mr. Peter, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Peter.
Thank you kindly.
We're now going to go to 12 and 13. Ms. Gail Gohagan? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Do you have something to tell us?
Yes, I am going to be transitioning from the county. I will be going to New York State Office of Children and Family Services, so a lot of what I was doing on the county level, I will be able to continue to have an involvement with from the state's perspective. I look forward to continuing to work with Albany County. I've appreciated the time that I've been here. I have certainly appreciated the support of each of you on behalf of Children and Family and the services and the programs that we administer from the department, so thank you for that.
Well, we just want you to know that we've appreciated all the hard work that you have given to Albany County. We know we always lose the very best employees, and so New York State will definitely be gaining a great resource and asset with your employment. So we just want to thank you and we congratulate you. And I guess this is our last meeting with you. So we'll go on and take number 12 and 13. And
Yes.
authorizing the acceptance of grant funding and agreements regarding the child right
Double up salary.
safe harbor initiative and amending the 2020 Department for Children, Youth and Families budget.
Yes, so this is grant funding that we receive from the Office of Children and Family Services to be able to provide education and awareness as it pertains to human trafficking. We have been participating in this program for the last 5 years. At this point in time, Albany County is considered a graduate county. So at this point in time, the funding that we are receiving is very nominal, and it's really to be able to continue to support the work that has already been implemented. We have a safe harbor coordinator that takes the lead in terms of going out and doing education and awareness and events. We have been able to implement a critical team, which is a cross-system representation of various systems, including law enforcement, the district attorney's office, the department, medical personnel, all really looking at how to be able to have a system of being able to respond to when it becomes to our attention that there is either someone who has been identified as a victim of human trafficking or is at high risk of human trafficking. Internally, we've been able to incorporate the process within our child welfare division, so even if it were to get to a stage where there was no funding that would be provided, we've built it into our practice so that we'd still be able to make sure that we are addressing any incidents of human trafficking that may come to our attention.
Are there any questions from any members? If not, can I get a motion from Ms., I got a motion from Mr. Lukakas, second from Mr. Peter, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Number 13, authorizing an agreement with Northern Rivers regarding the 30 Days to Families program and amending the 2020 Department of Children, Youth and Families budget.
Yes, so with Families First legislation, which takes effect in September 29th of 2021 in New York State, this is the Office of Children and Family Services provided a one-time allocation of technical assistance funding to support counties in preparations for Families First. Families First is really about front-loading prevention services and decreasing the use of congregate care. As one of the strategies in regards to the preparation, it's really focused on increasing the use of kinship resources. We have, for the past year, had a collaboration with Northern Rivers. They currently have a staff person that's co-located at the department to facilitate the 30 Days to Families program, and it's really about that upfront, proactive identification of family resources when we have a child or children that, for whatever the concerns, are not able to remain in their home of origin and need out-of-home placement. With this additional funding that OCFS has provided, one of the ways that we can utilize it is to look at expanding the use of kinship identification resources. And so with this funding, we would ask approval to be able to support the continued collaboration with Northern Rivers and to continue the 30 Days to Families by providing this additional funding to them to support the ongoing facilitation of the program.
Is this the first time for Northern Rivers?
Meaning, they have already been doing this program. They currently have been doing it in conjunction with the department for the past year. So this funding would just allow them to continue to do so.
Okay. Can I get a motion? There's no questions? Okay, a motion from Mr. Bergdorf, second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Slatsky? Thank you. Number 14. Number 14, everyone, and that's authorizing an agreement with Ron Media regarding branding and promotional services for the Shaker Place Rehabilitation and Nursing Center.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. We're presenting or requesting the extension of this agreement, right? And I shouldn't, let me reword that. The agreement was originally for 3 years, and we requested $100,000 for the agreement, but we budgeted $300,000. While it appears that we're doubling the budget, we're really not. It was a 3-year agreement. We had no idea how much money we would be spending on media or rebranding the nursing home. So while the original project was delayed the first year, and we spent the minimal amount of money due to delay in the name change and the rebranding, over the last 2 years, we spent $100,000 for a 3-year contract, and now we're asking for $100,000, which is in our budget, and we originally requested $300,000. So this would be for the continuation of rebranding, and now we're going into the media, creating videos for the nursing home, going out to the marketplace for admissions and so on.
Okay, so now, are we using this company for help and trying to get more people as far as employment is concerned?
Yes, they do 100% of our media campaigns, such as bus stops, advertising, website design. All of that is done by Braun Media. Matter of fact, all of our employment applications now go through Braun Media to us. So when people apply online, it goes through Braun Media, and they send us the applications for any discipline, whether it be on Indeed or any other source of media that can get to us for people applying for positions.
Quick question. I'm sorry I was out of the country and I missed your tour.
Oh.
How's it going out there?
Well, it's going okay, I think. Now the 3 wings are open. It's been now 2 weeks. We're getting acclimated. It's really, we're learning our way through this expanded area that we now have to care for our residents in. It's a little bit of a learning experience, but we're doing all right. I think the admissions have picked up, and I think that's going to continue to happen, and hopefully we're, by the end of next month, we hope to be at least at around 220, 230 residents in-house.
And that's from what point was the low?
Right now, we're around 190.
Okay. So you're hoping to pick up 30 new residents?
I think that we could pick up around 30 residents. We have around 10 residents right now on the waiting list. We're preparing them for admission. We're getting ready, the units for them, getting the staff acclimated to, we have to feed 3 meals a day. It's a different environment. We're still in a temporary kitchen. The new kitchen will not open until the week of February 14th, where it'll be easier for us to prepare the meals. So it's a little bit of a learning experience, but we're doing okay.
How about if you pick up that many new clients in a month or two, do you have adequate staff for such an increase in the census?
Well, we are hoping that the staffing will increase as we move forward. Staffing is always a challenge. In our area, the supply does not meet the demand. And our salaries are still what we believe to be competitive. But for a very small amount of money, people would not think twice about changing jobs. Since you were kind enough to allow us to have an increase for our certified nursing assistants, and we had our media campaign, which worked unbelievably well in the last quarter of 2019. In a 6-month period, we hired approximately 42 people to our nursing home. I checked that today, and out of those 42 people, considering retirements, or let's say a total of 42 people, we're +5. So 37 people have left our employ. 80% of those are some which we just hired. Well, 80% are those that we just hired.
All right. No other questions?
Madam Chair? Great. I've dealt a lot with professional service contracts, particularly in the PR business. And one of the concerns I have with this is there are no measures, it seems to me, on what they hope to accomplish with their PR campaign. It says, we're going to have a brand rollout in photography and brand strategy, but it doesn't say what we want to accomplish with this $100,000. In other words, the things I think we need, Larry, and I'd be interested in your input, is we believe we can increase residents to the nursing home with our PR campaign. We believe we can increase job applications. I really don't see any of that. There's a lot of vague language, but I just don't see any strong measurements, and this is particularly acute in the PR business, where you really have to be pretty specific.
Well, again, that's not my area of expertise, I have to be honest. I think Braun Media has done a phenomenal job in the rolling out of our rebranding. I mean, people don't even think about Albany County Nursing Home anymore, and it's only been around not even a year that we rolled out the new name. They are Johnny on the spot with anything that we need. This new increase in the contract amount is not really an increase, it's an amount that we didn't realize, or that we knew we would need, but we didn't know how much we would need, because there's a laundry list from this RFP of things we could choose from and where we spend that money to best suit the nursing home's purposes. Like we just literally last week did the video for the nursing home, getting testimonials from our staff and residents that we will be rolling out soon. We'll see. I can't tell you, I could tell you that their media campaign for staff was phenomenal. We never got so many applications.
They got more applications. Yeah, because that's what I'd like to see in the contract, is this is what Larry really needs, and this is what they're going to produce now.
But we're not changing, excuse me one second, not to interrupt, but we're not changing the contract. The contract is a 3-year contract, and it was written as is. We're only funding the contract to 12/31/2020. So the contract we're not changing. When I think you're 100% correct, when during some part of this year, we will do a new RFP. I don't know that we will change, we'll see what the RFP brings in, but you're 100% correct. Now that we're more knowledgeable and we know where we are and what our expectations are, the new RFP will include and should include information or data like that as a requirement of the contract.
Yeah, and this is not just for the nursing home, this is for all the agencies. I've been pressing this, really clearer objectives and clearer accomplishments so we know exactly what we're getting. And I believe I do have some special expertise in this kind of thing. I do feel like it's a little too vague for me, because you're clear about what you need, and they should say, we will deliver this, and you will measure the effectiveness of all our videos and our grant strategy based on that, and that's what I'd like to see in a contract.
I think that in their initial proposal, we may have information like that, not so specific, which they submitted for this particular contract that I did give you a copy of. If you want, I will submit it to the office, and we could get that to you to show you what their RFP proposal was. I believe it includes a lot of that information.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Slatsky. Can I get a motion? Motion. Got a motion from Mr. Peter, and I got a second from Mr. Joyce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, unanimous. Now we're gonna move down to 32 and 33 to Mr. Slatsky. 32. 32 is a bond authorization in the amount of $350,000 regarding vehicle replacement at the Shaker Place Rehabilitation and Nursing Center.
Yes, this is a bond request that was approved as part of our capital plan by the legislature. Our vehicles at the nursing home have not been replaced for 20-plus years. These are the vehicles that are used for snow removal, mowing our property, transport of residents. Right now, we have 3 trucks that are really, truly at the end of life, and our bus is really not equipped to handle today's resident. It does not have proper oxygen storage for transportation. There's no spare tire if there's a flat on the road, which has happened this year. It's an issue, so the bus has to be repaired. I was requested, and I did submit documentation to show the average cost of one vehicle, and we'll need approximately 3 with plows, and that's around $52,000, and an estimated price on the bus is approximately $63,000.
Okay. Mr. Kakis?
Is it possible for any of those vehicles to be electric or hybrid or some reasonably greener choice? I know maybe the tractor probably not, but...
I brought Andy Lucarelli, our head of...
Probably not with the plowing.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
We can look into that.
transportation for the people maybe?
Thank you, Mr. Peter.
Hi, thanks for coming here. Quick question for you. Usually with like amounts, 350,000, relatively low for a bonding issuance, is that being rolled into a larger bonding issuance, or is it an independent $350,000 bonding issuance?
It all would be rolled into one solicitation. This project itself is $350,000.
Okay, so it's not an independent bonding.
The capital plan, and you'll notice that I think there's another request in here for bonding. The capital plan takes every project piece by piece, everyone that asks for approval and is granted by the legislature, all gets pulled into one
larger
solicitation, and that is what goes out for bonding.
Got it. Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you. Have you thought about, since I was managing a number of buildings for the New York State Assembly, we had maintenance contracts that would do mowing and plowing our large lots. Have you thought about setting this?
I have definitely thought about that.
Okay.
So
And-
right now, we do have people that are employed by our nursing home. I don't know that they have any intentions of leaving, so they are on our payroll right now, grounds. The title is groundskeepers. We have 2 right now.
Yes.
One did leave, and that we did not replace. That's why I was questioning Mr. Lucarelli, who I work with. He has all those answers. So that may be something that will be evaluated in the future, but clearly we need these vehicles to take care of our property. And I should point out that, we also take care of the Ann Lee property and parts of Soldier On, which are adjacent to us. even though it's not really part of, Shaker Place.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe we'll revisit that in the future.
Can I get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Peters. I got a second from Mr. Brinkoff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Number 33, authorizing an agreement with United Healthcare of New York regarding Medicare billing services.
Okay, there's been, this was actually postponed from last year. I could not make the meeting. This is revenue that the nursing home receives at approximately $1 million per year from United Healthcare, which is really Optum, Oxford Healthcare. They go under a lot of health plans. So I'm going to give a brief explanation of what this is so that hopefully everyone understands how this revenue comes to the nursing home. We have right now, as we speak today, approximately 190 residents living at the nursing home. 85 of these residents have Oxford United Healthcare, it's all the same, but really it's called internally in our nursing home Optum, as their intermediary for managed Medicare. So they don't have Medicare, they have managed Medicare through Optum. We care for the Optum resident. This contract dictates how much Optum has to pay us to take care of their clients when they're living at our nursing home.
And how many is that you said now?
Right now, it's around 85. We hope that when the nursing home reaches its capacity, licensed capacity of 250, and Optum working with our new clientele coming into the nursing home, that number hopefully will grow to at least 180 residents on the Optum managed care. It's truly a benefit to the residents to be on this program. And not only that, we receive on-site nurse practitioners paid for by Optum to care for their clients who are in our nursing home every day, to keep them in-house and managing their care, even if they're on Medicaid, but they're Optum clients. And it's shown a decrease in discharges, better care, and I think that their rules are better than those on Medicare itself. As an example, if you're a Medicare-only client, you are mandated to have a 3-day hospital stay, as an example, in order to get Medicare. So if you go from home and you're on Medicare, right into a nursing home, you do not qualify for Medicare. You need a 3-day hospital stay. If you're not in that hospital for 3 days and go to a nursing home, you cannot get Medicare. A lot of people may not know that. If you're an Optum client and you're home and need long-term care, the 3-day stay is waived, just as an example. So Optum has a lot of privileges because they're managed through Oxford or United Healthcare that the normal or the Medicare client would not have.
Ms. Lakakis?
It's a 5-year contract,
Yes.
and does it get incrementally higher per year, or is it flat?
Yes, it goes up according to, it's actually where, even though this contract is just an estimated amount of revenue based on past years, it will go up because, as discussed here at previous meetings, we're expecting any day now to receive our new Medicaid rate because of the capital expenses we've made to the project. When the Medicaid rate goes up, the Medicare rates have to go up consistently with that rate. So we've already been negotiating with Optum, and as soon as we get that number, those rates will go up.
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry, yes.
is Optum a generally available health insurance program?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's United Healthcare. Optum is one of their long-term care divisions. They've been around. They used to be called Evercare.
Okay.
And now they're Optum, years ago, when they first started. They're the oldest Medicare managed care company in New York State, meaning they've been around the longest.
Yes, okay. I have a motion from Mr. Peter, I have a second. Mr. O'Brien, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
And the tour was wonderful and.
Oh, thank you.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to number 15.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Look at me, go to number 15. Look at that, I'm on number 15 already.
Okay. All right, let's just give us a moment to get to.
I haven't been this excited in a long time. This is pretty good. Stevie Grant.
Wait until the first meeting.
Okay. Authorizing, they got new toys, and so they're really excited. Authorizing an agreement with New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation regarding a snowmobile trail development grant and amending the 2020 Department of Economic Development, Conservation, and Planning budget.
My department administers an annual grant from New York State Parks for snowmobile trail maintenance. It's a pass-through grant to 2 local snowmobile clubs who conduct the maintenance. This year's award is $12,792.
Motion moving.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Second.
Okay, great. I got a motion from Mr. O'Brien. I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Our duty.
Snowmobile around, poor thing.
$12,000 for a snowmobile.
Okay, so we're gonna go to 21 and 22. Miss Maggie?
Are you gonna ask
Thank
her?
you. See, I love that. That enthusiasm. Just give me a chance to get to your,
How's the game?
21, 22.
Well, I'm not last tonight, so that's always a good sign. And mine are very quick.
Electrical
Yes.
fixed.
Number 21, authorizing the refund of real property taxes in the town of Guilderland.
So this correction came before the committee and the legislator at the end of last year. These two, 21 and 22, I merely put in again because there was just transcription error on the resolution. So for number 21, Resolution 548 is actually in the town of Guilderland, where the last time around we had it in the city of Albany.
Yes, all right, I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. Joyce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we're gonna move on to 22. Authorizing the cancellation, chargeback, and imposition of an erroneously listed unenforceable, oh my God, delinquent real property tax lien on the correct parcel as in omitted tax.
Yeah, so again, this was brought to you guys at the end of last year, and the resolution came through listing the city of Albany, or the town of Guilderland. This one's in the city of Albany, so it flip-flopped. We just had the municipality backwards on the resolution. So this is the same correction, nothing is different, just changing the resolution to state that the property is in the city of Albany.
Ms. Lakakis. Oh, I got a motion from Ms. Lakakis, I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful, good
Thank
night.
you.
All right. Now we're back to number 9, everyone.
Number 9.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Commissioner Raimondo had a family matter to attend to, so I'm going to be filling in. The next 2 items are actually related. The first number, do you usually read it? I apologize.
First one is the determination that the Albany County Rail Trail Bridge Rehabilitation Project will not have a significant effect on the environment.
Thank you. So the seeker, this was a type 1 seeker, which means it was a 3-step process. So you may recall, step 1, we came to the legislature to ask to send a letter to all interested parties. Step 2, we came back and sought determination for Albany County, actually the Albany County Legislature, to be the lead agency. And this is the final step. The seeker study has now been completed by Public Works with the support of the contractor MJ Engineering. Determined that it was not a significant effect on the environment, and looking for approval.
Mr. Peter.
Hi, thanks, Mr. Quick question. I know there was some initial concern from some of our friends in Bethlehem about truck traffic in this. Has that been addressed or mitigated in any way?
It was definitely part of the conversation, and we have been, it's kind of a triangle, so that area, so there was definitely concern with part of the neighborhood that you would increase truck traffic and send it the other way. The other neighbors maybe didn't share that. But it was a very legitimate concern, and we have engaged with the Department of Transportation, who, it's their road, so it's our bridge, but it's their road, to explore traffic calming measures, because that is, it's right by the Slingerlands trailhead. It is I want to say the most, that and Albany are the most heavily used, but it's a very heavily used trailhead, so we are working with them on potential traffic calming measures to ensure that there's safety. So I certainly cannot say that all resident concerns 100% have been addressed, but we've certainly taken steps to do that.
Has there been some sort of study, the effects of this additional traffic in that community?
There was a count. It's a little bit tough the reason it's tough, there's a count, but that does not consider origin. So like I said, because it's a triangle, you get a sense for some of this traffic may shift, but if it's coming from Queens and going out, they're not going to go out of their way to take this new route. If it is coming from Albany and going out, they may. So it's a little bit hard to give an exact number, but I know they did look at it. It is likely there would be some increase, but ultimately you would have some amount of shifting of traffic, but it's demand that's going to drive a real increase. So you're not changing the number of trucks getting from this side of town to the other side of town. It's a slight shift, and that is a real concern, hence some of the steps we've taken.
Madam Chair.
All right, Mr.
In the seeker analysis, which was done by DPW in conjunction with a consultant, were these issues raised in the seeker analysis?
Yes.
And did they make recommendations and findings?
I believe they were looked at. The seeker is somewhat limited because it is to the scope of our project, which, it's sort of a technical distinction, but for the purpose of complying with the seeker, it does matter. That being said, I do believe they looked at some of these issues and included some recommendations. I don't have them off the top of my head. It's a 70-page document, so.
Yes, Ms. Lukakis?
One of the letters in the packet spoke to possibly preserving parts of the bridge in order to maintain some of the historical content in it. And I was wondering if you had any intention of trying to accommodate that request. I forget who it was from.
Yeah, we will have conversations as we actually get to that point. Some people who were certainly concerned about the history thought that was a good solution. Some really did not and thought it was almost, I don't want to say insulting, but like there was definitely a certain contingent that didn't like that idea. So we'll keep that dialogue open as we get into the real design, the business phase of the project.
Mr. O'Brien?
What's the weight limit on that road? Is there a restricted weight limit on that, or?
On the road, I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
And the town board, are they all on favor of this?
I haven't heard otherwise. The planner submitted some recommendations, but they, did not oppose anything, or they did not oppose the project.
Mr. Peter?
Just a quick follow-up. I know that the bridge has to be replaced. I understand that there's only so much you can say based on that. My only request would be that as it progresses, if you could let us know what type of mitigating factors can be done there for traffic calming and stuff like that. I do know it's a concern of some of the town board, but I also understand that this needs to be replaced. It's a DOT road and restrictions are limited, so.
Restrictions are limited, but we will continue to advocate for traffic calming and other measures. Safety is always priority.
If you can just keep us updated, we appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
There's no other questions? Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to number 10 right now. bond authorization in the amount of $1.7 million regarding reconstruction of the Albany County Rail Trail Bridge in the town of Bethlehem.
So, same project. This, DPW submitted all of their bond resolutions in the fall. This one had to be held because you need a completed seeker in order to pass a bond resolution. So, now that we have the seeker, we'd like to request authorization.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. All right, now we're going to go to number 16.
You get me again.
Okay. Number 16, amending the 2020 Stormwater Coalition Budget Telephone Services.
We're gonna have to talk to our department heads about their vacation schedules, but this, Nancy Heinzen is out of the country. So this is a relatively small budget amendment, about $5,000. It's always a little unique with the Stormwater Coalition because they have a board. In fact, they're members of the legislature who are on that board, who is adopting a budget at the same time that the county is putting together their budget. And this year, in particular, with the county taking on an enhanced role of funding the Stormwater Coalition, there were a lot of moving parts. And during that process, it was determined by the coalition that they in fact needed 12 iPads with network connection, everything. That's what they use. They've actually come a very long way technologically and use GIS in the field on these iPads. It was determined they needed more, and hence budget amendment.
Motion to move it.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. O'Brien, I got a second from Mr. Bergeron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so 9 and 10. Here now, we're going to 6, 7? 7, 10. We're not doing 16? We just did.
We just did 16.
We're on number 17 right now, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding and agreement with NYSERDA regarding the Clean Energy Communities Grant and amending the 2020 Department of General Services budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is pretty straightforward. We have received Clean Energy Communities grants in the past. That is what we use to purchase our existing electric vehicles and the wonderful charging stations that we have at some of our county locations. Additional funding was made available. We're looking to expand the electric vehicles in the fleet, so we are purchasing an additional electric vehicle, or requesting authorization rather to purchase an additional electric vehicle.
You're the first one? Oh, okay. I would like to note Mr. Joyce's abstention on this, please.
I'd like to make a motion. There's no questions, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, but one abstention.
Thank you.
And now we're moving to number 18. Okay. I would like to take number 18 and 19 and 20 together. And I would just like to, I'd like to entertain a motion to consider them all together. Okay, I got a motion from Mr. O'Brien, I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, number 18, authorizing a levy upon the city of Cohoes. All three of these do have to do with the city of Cohoes.
Correct, Madam Chairwoman.
Property of the amount needed for various purposes.
So, Madam Chairwoman, thank you for grouping these. I was going to mention that how all three are tied together, because as Cohoes sends out their tax bills in March of every year, their levies don't tie out with the other communities. These are normal housekeeping resolutions that we pass for all the municipalities. So, obviously, 18 covers the levy, 19 covers, hold on. City charges. Yeah, the sewer charges, and then, or the other charges, 20 is the water and sewer charges.
Okay, go on. 19, the amounts levied for other charges for the city of Cohoes, number 19. We're gonna vote on them all together.
Yes.
Oh, did you do all of them?
Yes. Do you have any other
Amendments
questions?
on that motion?
Can I get a motion? I got a motion, Mr. O'Brien, I got a second. Peter, all those in favor?
Bitter. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Could have done them thicker separately.
All right, we're on number 23 right now. Rescinding the authorization to convey real property pursuant to Resolution 398 for 2019 and authorizing the conveyance of 38 Whipple Way.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thanks so much for having us. This is just a basic sale back for taxes, fees, and interest owed. We were approached post-judgment by an individual who failed to pay his taxes on time, but he has provided certified funds for the full amount. Therefore, we are requesting a sale back.
I got a motion from
Second.
Mr. Joyce, got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 24, rescinding the authorization to convey real property pursuant to Resolution 398 for 2019 and authorizing the conveyance of property known as Dominski Lane in the town of New Scotland.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is the exact same action. This is a sale back for taxes owed, but for a far smaller amount. I think it's the $4,000 range. The individual just missed paying his taxes on time and has provided certified funds in the full amount.
Good. Got a question?
Yeah,
Question for
just
Mr.
curious.
Brazil.
When you say the subject just missed paying his taxes on time, how many years does it take to get to the point where?
4 at minimum.
Okay, so,
So, Mr. Bergdorf, just so you're aware, in the backup, it shows he missed one lien year. He's been paying his taxes since then.
oh, okay.
He only missed the 2013 lien.
Okay.
He kept
All right,
paying the other years on
I
time.
get it,
But the previous one, to your question, had several years. So it's a mix, because you can't come in and pay your furthest back tax bill and kick the time period, so you have to come in and pay your most recent and work your way back.
but this is also one of those things where we get a relatively high interest rate on unpaid taxes, right?
5% when it rolls over and 1% every month after.
Yeah, so to put it into perspective, of the just short of $5,000 total, it was $2,900 in principal, $2,000 in interest.
Okay,
Motion to move it.
Okay, I got a question for
Quick
Mr.
question.
Peter.
Just generally speaking, it's a reconveyance back to the owner and stuff. There's no checking with the local municipality if there's any objection to selling it back, right? It's an as-of-right policy?
It is generally, we do check with them in terms of like if there's any major code violations or things of that nature to make sure we're not selling back to a bad actor.
And the municipality has the right to say yea or nay, or?
That's a very complicated subject that gets into like bankruptcy proceedings and things like that. But it's part of a much larger property conversation that we can have now if you'd like.
Nope, let's have it.
Thank you.
So then I will second
No, you'd like to
Mr.
have it.
Bergendorf's motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf, I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor? All right, number 24. Rescinding the authorization to convey real property pursuant to Resolution 398 for 2019. I'm on 20.
Should be the 317.
23, we did 24? Yep. We're on 25. I'm so sorry, excuse me, everyone.
Oh, this is the fire hydrant.
I gotta get used to this new, gotta move this up. 25. Rescinding the authorization to convey real property known as SR 145 Cooksburg pursuant to Resolution 317 for 2018 and authorizing the conveyance of the property known as SR 145 Cooksburg in the town of Rensselaerville.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. So this is an odd parcel that somehow got thrown onto the tax rolls and we ended up foreclosing on it. It's a water body that actually has town fire department infrastructure on it. It's what they use to fill their fire trucks. So we contacted the town of Rensselaerville and by extension their fire department, and they have requested conveyance of the parcel to correctly get it to who should be able to manage it.
I'd like to make a motion to move.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. 26, authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 10 Elmwood Road in the town of Colony.
Yes, Madam Chair. So this is, I think, one of the first opportunities we've had to come to you with a potential economic development conveyance. We foreclosed on a property located at 10 Elmwood Road in Manans. The landlord had stopped paying taxes, and there was an operating business inside that was unaware of the delinquency. The operating business is it's a records management company that was willing to purchase the property. So we got an appraisal of the property, and they actually offered more than the appraisal, which is nice. And so we are coming to you with hoping for your approval to keep the business operating in Albany County, and obviously put it back on the tax rolls the way it should have been to begin with.
So moved.
All right, I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf, I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now on number 27, authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 230 Remsen Street in the city of Cohoes.
Yes, Madam Chair. So this is an old auto body shop in the city of Cohoes. So obviously we're taking great care with its handling. We were approached by the city of Cohoes asking for its conveyance to the city IDA for inclusion in a redevelopment project in that area. So we always defer to localities when they're interested in taking a property off our hands.
Motion?
One question from Mr. Mayo.
Just if there's any kind of remediation problems, are we stuck with that?
No, we don't have, we won't touch deed, title, or anything like that, absolutely not.
Yeah, we withdraw it from the process before.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Still make the motion.
Second.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter and a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. Now we are on to number 28, authorizing the conveyance of various parcels of real property to the Albany County Land Bank Corporation.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is just cleanup properties from the towns, foreclosed properties from the towns, some summary judgment properties that had answers filed on them to authorize conveyance to the land bank, pretty much properties in all the municipalities throughout the county, about 50 properties in total.
Mr. Peter.
Yeah, it was my understanding is the land bank definitely taking all of those properties, or is there an ability for them not to accept all those properties?
It's my position that the land bank will take all properties. As for the disposition plan, there are certain instances where they come to us with extenuating circumstances. We've redirected, and we'll continue to, you'll see probably not this evening, but in coming months, redirecting properties to their LLC because they have environmental concerns. Yep. And then there are occasions where, like for example, the Cooksburg, that was an odd property for them to have to deal with, so we kind of step in and assist in facilitating that. But it's our position that they take all properties.
So there's not usually a situation where there's like, let's say you transfer over 32, they only accept 26, and then we have to re-accept them back or anything like that? And
we've never accepted properties back from the land. Well, I take that back. We took one property back that actually had a county use. Okay. That we had conveyed to them, and then we took it back. So I'll say this: they don't always close on them immediately, if that's what you're asking.
So if that happens where they don't close on them immediately, how do we guarantee those properties are taken care of in between the times it's transferred?
That's what DGS does.
Yeah. And there's no slip through the cracks if they don't take them immediately and still.
No, DGS. Nope. That's a stated purpose of the Department of General Services.
Wait, say that again?
That's a stated purpose and responsibility of the Department of General Services.
We've got to cut the lawn.
Yeah. I mean, it goes well beyond that, but that's correct. Yeah.
Mr. Practice, you look like you have
I'm
a
just
question.
kind of curious about the riding stables one. It seems kind of an outlier and.
You mean the description?
Yeah.
Oh, there's.
Really stable, or is there a building on it?
I'm sure many of you have heard me say, but every property is unique. We have foreclosed on properties that have horses on them.
Dan? Yes. Yeah.
Horses?
Yeah. Not a couple years. I don't think there were actually any horses at the riding stables, fortunately, in this particular case.
All right.
Motion to move.
I have a motion to move from Mr. O'Brien, I have a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Number 29, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Capital District Transportation Committee regarding the linkage study program grant.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Somewhat self-explanatory in the nature of what it is, but what we're looking at doing is evaluating, if we are awarded this funding, and this is just to apply, but evaluating a number of options of once you are basically at the Voorheesville part of the rail trail, are there opportunities to extend or go in other directions. The CDTC, which is actually who we happen to be applying for the funding, came out with a trails plan a couple years ago it's pretty interesting to look at, but it's really about connecting trails throughout the region. We have a lot of great sort of one-off trails, but if there's an opportunity to create more of a network, and that's kind of what this would look at.
Motion? Oh, I got a motion from Mr. Cox.
It's a great idea, let's do it.
Yeah, Madam Chair, yeah, I've been frustrated for a long time, the rail trail doesn't benefit Guilderland, but I noticed there's potential, three potential ideas to extend this to Guilderland. How realistic is that?
That's honestly what we're studying, to be frank.
Yeah.
That is, there are unique considerations with each of the options we're looking at, but there's certainly interest to explore it from the county and from the town of Guilderland. I don't want to speak for them, but we definitely communicated with them about this, and they were generally supportive.
Do they offer a preference of the three, because you list three options?
Did the town?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Keep me apprised, if you would, of
Sure.
this development. It's very important in my
Yep.
constituency.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I have a motion. I got a motion from Mr. Cox. I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. We're now on to number 31. 30, excuse me, 30. Authorizing Albany County to assume the role of one-stop system operator for the
Yes.
Capital Region Workforce Development Board.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is our yearly effort to make the commissioner's budgetary process and your process much easier by bringing in $4,000 in revenue by playing the role of one-stop systems operator for the Workforce Development Board. It is a role that the one-stop center was unable to fill on the private market, as I'm sure you can imagine, given the compensation level. And as a member of the board, Albany County stepped into the role and offered to assist. So it is a revenue generator, and we are just asking for another year of the contract.
Let's make a motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Oh, yeah.
All right, now we are on to our last one for tonight, is number 31. Authorizing the submission of a grant application and agreement with New York State regarding the 2020 census and amending the 2020 Albany County budget.
Good evening again. Thank you, and I just want to thank staff for working with us on this, because it was a bit of a unique scenario in terms of the timing, where we are asking to apply, accept, and amend the budget, but that's just because it's on a condensed timetable. We are receiving funding to support census outreach and complete count efforts throughout Albany County. This is a very important issue. I don't think I have to convey that to you. You know what's at stake here in terms of county funding and representation for the citizens, constituents, citizens and non-citizens of Albany County. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You have a proposed methodology to do this. Does it differ any way from the cities to the suburbs to the hill towns, or how do you plan on handling that?
Sure. So the way this funding is structured, we're receiving $300,000. We just in the last couple of days received guidance from the state on how we can spend it. right off the top, 75% of it is required to go directly to community groups, which is more or less a good thing because they are in the best position to, we are working to identify groups in the community who are trusted voices and who have the existing networks to reach these individuals. So what I'm kind of saying to answer your question is, it's about identifying the group in the hill towns that is the best suited, identifying the groups in the city of Albany, in the river communities, and same with Colony. Now, generally speaking, just looking at past census response rates, we do plan to target the funding to areas that were traditionally or historically undercounted. That doesn't mean all the funding is going there, but a higher proportion of it will be going there because that's where there's a need. It's you can certainly happy to share the data with you.
Well, will every community in the county share in some level of funding from this $300,000?
Yeah, that's our intent. Yeah, I think, we have not identified the groups yet, but that is our intent.
Now, are these public groups, private groups? Are there any limitations on these groups?
Required to be nonprofit, 501c3. The other 25% can be split between our county efforts, municipal efforts, libraries, and schools. So it's going to be a lot of organizations. Now, the good thing is there are a lot of organizations that are already working on this and a lot of municipalities that are already working on this.
Okay, so as time rolls on, you'll be able to give us a better report on the organizations that county will be using, is that correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, we got this guidance.
Is there an ability to, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Is there an ability to give us a list prior to our vote?
Is there ability to do what?
Give us a list.
No, we received this guidance days ago. We are now in the process of getting the word out to as many community organizations as possible, and we have to return our application to the state in a matter of weeks. It is all very condensed, and that is out of our hands. That's just how it was presented to us. So I don't usually say this, but it's essential that this moves tonight.
Mr. Bergdorf?
Can you give me an example of a group that you might consider in the town of Colony?
Well, we're certainly looking at, so an organization like, I don't want to say something because I haven't spoken to them yet, but an organization like the United Way covers the entire region, so they would certainly cover Colony. Libraries have been very engaged with this. I know the Albany Library has, I know Guilderland has, and I suspect Colony has as well. If the town of Colony is interested in funding, we'll be communicating with them. Specific community groups, let's get the word out. Let's, put them in touch with us if you have someone in mind. But it will be, we'll be looking at everything.
All right, thank you.
If there's no questions, I'd like to make a motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. Mayo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, a couple things before we get quick. This was, I think, like 600 pages of agenda, and mine arrived at 4:53 yesterday. So it really wasn't sufficient. So I hope, as an improvement opportunity, we can get the agenda sent earlier.
Okay, Mr. Kennedy.
So, Mr. Grimm, in an effort to implement this new system, I'd ask some patience as we roll it out. We're always going to have, we're always going to have it 2 days early, but we need some patience with you as legislators as this is rolled out.
Okay, no, I understand it's a new thing, so just as an improvement opportunity, that's our goal.
Yeah.
I also want to thank the chair for using that tool today, and I hope that's a great lesson for other members, Madam Chair.
Oh, very good.
Another item, this handsome guy over here with the brown pants is Christian Barnes. He's our new research director for the minority. We want to welcome him to the...
Welcome.
He's doing a great job already.
That motion to close.
We got a motion to adjourn, okay. I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf.
Yeah.